Hello and welcome to the Northwood University webinar series. I'm Christopher Deming, and today we have Personal Brand Strategies Stand Out from the Pack with Beth Bryce. Beth Bryce is the Director of Career Advancement at Northwood University for the DeVos Graduate School and the Adult Degree Program. And we are so happy that she's with us. For those of you who are our returning customers in the webinar series, you'll recognize Beth. She has been with us before and is a constant reminder of encouragement for your career aspirations. So before we get started, I have a couple of housekeeping items that I'd like to share with you. If you've never been with us before, welcome. We're so glad you're here. If you have questions, please input them on the Q&A tab on the right. We will collect them throughout the webinar, and then we will address them to Beth at the very end. We'll get to as many as we can. This webinar is being recorded, and it will be sent to you. So look out for an email from us after this event. There will be a recording and a survey and the presentation materials for you to reference at a later date. So without any further ado, I'd like to hand it off to Beth Bryce. Thanks, Beth.
Thank you. Well, hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining the conversation on personal branding. I'm so happy to connect with you. And a warm thank you to Alumni Advancement and our tech team who are tireless in delivering impactful content for you. So, my friends, the last 7 months have been brutal on many levels. Employment for sure, but fortunately for us, it's taught us to be persistent, resilient, and optimistic. And in case you haven't heard this from anyone lately, thank you. Thank you for all that you do for your families, your community, your work, Northwood University, and for our veterans, your service is most appreciated. So before we dive into personal branding, I wanted to share some great news from the most recent U.S. Department of Labor report on unemployment, which came out November 6th. The unemployment rate has declined to 6.9%, which was at a high of 14% back in April, 4% pre-pandemic. So we are coming back on track, my friends. 1.5 million people resumed working in September and October alone. Notable job gains have been in hospitality, professional business services, construction, retail. Target, Amazon, UPS, and FedEx are hiring 400,000 people right now. All promising news for you job seekers out there, which leads me to the question, are you prepared? How is your personal brand working to your advantage, and why should you care? So we're going to get right into it. You have superpowers when your personal brand is on point. For entrepreneurs, you have a steady stream of ideal clients and partnerships, leadership opportunities within your work and community because people want you on their team. You attract like-minded people, you appear as a subject matter expert, which leads to trust. People trust you to deliver. So when you are starting to noodle on your personal brand, you must understand who you are, but even more importantly, to be able to communicate that in a way that inspires others, connecting with them on an emotional level. Who are you? What are your goals? What is your key differentiator? What makes you unique? How do you demonstrate that? Tough questions, I know. So I'm going to walk you through a 3-step easy process to dig deep. Are you ready? Step 1 is discovery. Discover your key words. What are the words people use to describe you? Because perception is reality. So ask them. Ask your friends and peers. Shoot an email, text, social media post to your network of peers, friends and family, colleagues that you trust and respect. Collect those words, then sort them. What are your top 3 or 4 similar words that show up? Those are your current brand points. Next, examine your online presence. How is your LinkedIn profile? Is it hitting on your brand points? And I will touch on this later, but beyond social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. So I'm going to share a story with you recently. I recommended a very competent person for community leadership role, proven leader. And when I mentioned the person's name to the hiring committee, the response was not good. And I was really surprised. Then they asked me, have you seen her Facebook posts? Not the role model we want in the organization or community. Ouch. I'm serious. So check your online presence. Another thing that you could do is revisit your performance evaluations, recommendation letters, your LinkedIn recommendations, get out your highlighter, comb through those key words that highlight the adjectives describing you and your strengths. Here's another clue for your brand points. Do you still need help drilling down? Check out William Arruda's 50 Questions Online. Arruda, A-R-R-U-D-A. He's a personal brand guru I follow, and these are great reflection questions for you to gain clarity. Like, what do people come to you for? If you were to receive an award, what would it be? Oops. Sorry. My mouse is out of control. Anyways, great reflection questions. How are you unique? What is your superpower? Okay, 50 questions. Arruda, William Arruda. And I'll hit on this resource at the end of the presentation. Next is create your messaging. Analyze the feedback. We talked about this. Sort the words. Highlight the top ones. Once you've sorted and identified your top words, are they good, bad, or the ugly? Again, perception is reality. So if you are disappointed in what popped up, you have a chance. You have a chance to change your brand to what you want. And my point is, think in terms of your future job versus your current job. So I had someone do this exercise recently, and she was pursuing a leadership role in her organization and passed over several times for a promotion. And the words that came back from her colleagues and peers were passive, supportive, helpful, friendly. Those are great characteristics, but for her, it didn't scream leader, strategic, problem solver, driven, motivator. So then we got to the business of coming up with strategies on how to change her internal brand. Because quite frankly, if you don't know what your perception is, you can't fix it, right? So it can be as simple as developing your style. You know, what is your image, your clothing, your hair, office decorations, even your email font and signature, your work ethic, your leadership style, and how you treat others. You can be the most brilliant, intelligent, subject matter expert, but if you treat others poorly, you just won't get far. It really impacts your brand. So here's another quick example. I was working with someone who was vying for an HR director position, and on paper, amazing experience. She had a phenomenal resume. She did exceptional during interviews, but she wasn't getting promoted or she wasn't getting the offer. So she stepped into my office one afternoon, and quite frankly, she looked a little disheveled, right? And her question, she sat down and said, why am I not getting the offer? And then I must have given her a look, one of my classic looks that I give people. You can read my mind, I'm sure. And so she said, be honest with me, I can take it. And so I said to her, you just came from the office, right? And she said, yes. And I said, is that what you wore? Because I get it, business casual. but take it just one step above business casual. Look put together, look a little hip. I'm not saying you need to wear a suit every day, just one step better than business casual. And for her, it made the difference in the world, and she thanked me. So, if you're looking for brutal honesty with love, come to me. I will let you know. So, step 3 is communicate. Okay, so now that you've kind of identified your brand points, and you've gotten clarity on that, now start communicating it to your supporters and influencers. Your resume branding. So, what is the top of your resume look like? Does it include your brand, your keywords? Does it include your elevator pitch? We're going to get to that. What is your social media content, your behaviors in the workplace, and even on Zoom, even down to your email font, signature, and colors. Your signature on your iPhone. So I have a signature on my iPhone that says iPhone, I typo, I apologize, Beth. And I can't tell you how many times people respond to that and say, I'm going to steal this. It's funny. It makes them laugh. But it gives them a sense about who I am, my personality, humor, creativity. Just something as simple as that. Everything you say, everything you do, how you look, what you comment on, it's all related to your brand. I hope this is making sense for you. So let me just go back to that. I just want to make sure I touched on, I wanted to just touch on the email signature. I'm going to share a resource at the end of this that it's a software you can get online for free that actually helps you create your email signature. And it has some guidelines, 3 to 4 lines, including an image. Don't include a motivational quote, they suggest, because it's a little campy, kind of turns people off. So there's a lot of rules when you're creating an email signature even. So I'm going to share that for you. Hopefully it's giving you some things to think about. So let's see. Now we're going to wrap up the discussion with your LinkedIn brand and your elevator pitch. What's important to know is 75% of people get more views with a profile picture, and it should be a professional headshot, head and shoulders, not one taken at an event with the person standing next to you edited out. You might think that you've edited it out, but we can still see you're at an event and you were standing next to people with a plate of appetizers. We can see that. So make sure you're getting a professional headshot. And iPhones are amazing. Find a really cool background and have a friend take it with an iPhone and make sure your lighting's perfect. I'm not saying you have to have a professional shot, but it will work wonders for you. I encourage you to check out my profile, and connect with me as well. The other thing that people don't think about is the background photo. It's usually a default galaxy. Now they have another kind of default background, but here's an opportunity to find a picture that really speaks to your brand. So you'll see my background photo on LinkedIn is a picture of the DeVos building on the Northwood campus and the flame statue that we have, which is amazing. So again, it speaks to my brand. Your About Me summary is so critical. Basically, it should be a version of your 30 to 60 second elevator pitch. You can get creative with it, and I'm going to walk you through an example. But check out John Nemo online. John Nemo, Nemo, LinkedInriches.com. He has a killer summary template. I've used it. I pass it along. It will do the outline for you and really get you thinking into who you are, how you do it, and why. It can be that simple. The other thing that you need to think about is your tribe. Who are your connections? What are the groups you follow, the companies you follow, the influencers that you follow? It speaks volumes about your interests and characteristics as a person and as a leader. So one of the things that I do when I'm checking out someone on LinkedIn, stalking them, whatever you want to say, I go right down to who are they following, who are their influencers, what companies do they follow, what groups do they follow. It immediately tells me about who you are. And if you don't have any, well, that says something too, right? That says something too. So choose your groups and interests carefully with that in mind. The other thing is, what posts from others and organizations and influencers do you like? Do you comment on? I'm not saying you have to be blogging and posting articles and coming up with content. That's kind of like level 2. But certainly, who are you liking? And maybe even a really positive, enthusiastic comment. So, here's an example. If you have an ideal company that you would love to work for, are you following them? Are you liking their content? Are you posting on their content? This is a way to get your name in front of that organization over and over again. So when you apply, your name is recognized. Seriously, I'm not making this up. So again, really think strategically about who you are following and commenting on LinkedIn. Lastly, work on obtaining testimonials from people who can speak to your key word brand points. So if you choose to do the homework assignment that I gave you, I love to give homework, then to just take it one step further, are there any individuals that you ask for feedback on that could write you a recommendation letter or a testimonial on LinkedIn? It's just another thing that you could do once they respond to your brand point question, right? You can check out my LinkedIn profile and see the testimonials from students and people that I work from. I do that because it's my brand, but also as a brand ambassador for the company I work with, Northwood, to excite partnerships and opportunities for Northwood to drive more students and faculty and staff to me based on my testimonials. You see, you have to think of yourself as your own brand ambassador. Okay, so I hope you're writing down homework assignments. Okay, so now we're going to get to the elevator pitch. You can Google so many resources on elevator pitch, but I'm going to try to make it as simple for you as possible. Really, an elevator pitch is a 30 to 60 second commercial about yourself, and it can easily flow into your resume summary, as I mentioned before, and your LinkedIn About Me section, right? So, yeah, Northwood University, right? Here you go. Something just as simple as that, right? So anyway, so here's an example of mine, which you can see on my LinkedIn as well. Again, it's what, how, and why. What, how, and why. Write that down. What, how, and why. I coach students and professionals to transform their careers into their life's work, vibrant, passion, and purpose-filled. Together, we create an action plan, eliminating self-doubt and increasing confidence to take brave risks and massive action to realize their goals. I provide compassionate and supportive coaching aimed at helping people discover a career calling they love that is aligned with their talents, skills, and passion. And that is my 30-second pitch. It's woven into my resume brand. It's built into my About Me summary. And I hope you feel the energy and passion and emotion, and it connected with you. So much so, when I deliver that, it was, wow, I want that kind of career. I want to work with her. And thinking of Northwood University as well. Do you get it? Do you get what I'm saying? So, there's lots of ways to attack an elevator pitch, but really think in terms of what I do, how I do it, and why I do it. What I do, how I do it, and why I do it. So there you have it. And lastly are some of the resources that I mentioned previously. William Arruda, John Nemo, Dory Clark has a great book. And there's that yesware blog email signature hyperlink. Quick, take a picture of it with your phone. And if you want to create a killer email signature. So I guess I will stop sharing and then we'll open it up for questions. We are right on time.
Thank you so much, Beth. It's always so informative to see all of this great information, and there's always so much that you can take away and unpack after the fact. So we do have one question in the hopper, and it looks like we have a couple in the chat. Just as a reminder, if you have any questions, please place them in the Q&A tab, and we'll get to as many as we can. So we have one question. What advice would you give to someone who is potentially trying to be changing career paths and trying to adjust their brand somewhat?
Oh, it's a great question. And we deal with that a lot in career advancement because especially in our adult degree program, people who have been doing something for so long and now they want to be doing something different, or even for our military, who might have been doing something, a long career in the military and now they want to get into finance. It's really, although you've never had that title, maybe you've never been in the field, it's really identifying those key characteristics, skills that correlate from one industry to another, and then passionate about those things and making sure it's at the top of your resume or at the top of your LinkedIn summary. So when you're introducing yourself, that's what hits them first, and then they move down into your experience, which is almost like a secondary because they've read about how you love finance, for example. I hope that's helpful.
We have another question, a little bit about strategy. My company sends us LinkedIn photos that they want us to post and promote, keep as background photos. Currently, I'm thinking about changing career paths. Can this type of post hurt my brand for potential positions or interviews?
No, that's a great question because a potential employer would love to see how you respect your current employer, how passionate you are about your employer, because what you're doing with them, you would surely have the same traits and respect for me as a new employer.
We have another question. There seems to be an emerging trend around the abbreviated resume, which reads more like a social-oriented bio with graphics, keywords, and marketing galore versus a 1 to 3 page summary of experience, aka normal resume. I happen to love it, but could you comment on its adoption and perception?
Yeah, absolutely. So one of the things that you have to be careful with a heavily loaded, colored font, special graphics, pictures on your resume is that they will not upload into a resume application screening system. And sometimes they might get kicked out. So I think it's great to have a really slick one-page marketing resume for when you're having conversations with someone face-to-face, you're sending it via email, but then having that canned standard resume that you can easily upload if that's what's needed for the resume application screening process. So it's almost it's like having a business card and then having a one-page slick and then having an expanded resume.
That makes sense. Yeah, and I can speak personally that I've seen a lot of those really interesting one-pagers posted to LinkedIn, and it really helps to kind of fill out and add some color to those pages as well. We do have a question for clarification. Can you please repeat the Nemo name to check out on LinkedIn?
Oh, sure. But yeah, I just wanted to follow up quickly with what you just said, Chris, because that was great. You can upload your resume in the summary on LinkedIn. Just make sure that you take off your phone number and your home address for security reasons. So yeah, you can get creative and funky and really show your personality on LinkedIn. So that's great. So John Nemo, Nemo, it's LinkedInriches.com. That's his website.
And just as a quick reminder too, this is being recorded and you'll get a copy of Beth's presentation too to be able to unpack and go through a lot of the things we've talked about today. I have a question for you, Beth.
Yeah.
So much about branding sometimes is about superficiality versus substance. Is it possible to be too slick in your presentation? How do you balance those two, substance versus perception?
Right. So I think at the key of what you're saying is it's really important to be authentic. Um, and so it's not even, you don't even really have to think about it then. You are who you are, whether you're talking to your neighbor, or you're at an event, or you're on a phone call. I mean, it's so important to be authentic. Because then it's not like work, and then you're not having to slip up and okay, is this on my brand? So yeah, I mean, ideally that's the ticket. You want to be you. You want to be authentic. You want to find an employer who appreciates the real you. So
We have another question. How are people a little longer in the tooth battling ageism? I am fast, I am thorough, I keep informed and up to date on the new trends. I love my job and I feel I am best qualified, yet my employer went outside the company to find someone else. He knows what I can do and went with a stranger.
Uh, we get this question a lot because you get career services for life with Northwood University, and so we see people who are very seasoned professionals. And I've got some great news for you. Okay, you're more marketable than you think you are. The good news and the bad news is that we're going to be working probably until we're 65 and 70. We're just healthier that way. And so if you're in your 50s like me, I have no problem saying that, then you probably have another 15 solid years left to work. That could be two more careers. So the key with your managing that are two things, actually three. Making sure you have high energy, making sure your tech skills are up to date. And I'm saying these to compete with the younger generation. And third is that you've done the research and addressed the question about salary expectations, because an employer would love to have your seasoned professional experience, what you bring to the table, all your experience, your wisdom, but their main concern is you're going to cost me too much. So do the homework on the salary. Salary.com is fantastic. But also do a deep dive on yourself and figure out, okay, what am I willing to settle for? Coming up with a range to have an ideal career, the next opportunity, and to be able to compete. Because don't make the salary be something that stands in between you and having a passionate career and that next opportunity.
I think this will have to be our last question, just with respect to everyone's time here on the call. We hear that many companies use software to screen candidates' covers, letters, and resumes against their job posting keywords. Do you recommend using the exact words in the job description in our cover letter or resume?
I'm going to give you a secret that we use in career advancement, and I'm going to share something really shocking with you. Only 5% of resumes get through the resume screening software. And I know that is so painful. 5% of resumes actually make it through. So here's what you can do. When you look at the job posting, highlight those keywords, those main responsibilities, and make sure that you are weaving them into your branding. And if you're applying for the same kind of industry, same kind of career paths, you're not going to have to redo your resume every time. So yeah, look at 3 or 4 different job postings, your ideal dream jobs, and highlight those keywords. You need to have a 75% keyword match. And so there you have it. That's the trick. And give that a shot.
Well, thank you for the tough love, Beth. It's always wonderful. It's always wonderful having you. Thank you so much to all of you that joined us today. We will be having a different sort of event next month where we will be hosting a series of virtual president's receptions with President Kent McDonald. You'll have an opportunity to have some small group time with him, ask him questions, see how things are going, or just introduce yourself to him. So keep an eye out on your email and social media for those posts. As always, thank you, Beth Bryce, for joining us today. You are such a valuable resource to Northwood University, and we look forward to having you back.
Thank you. I was typing. I hope I wasn't going over you. I was putting my contact number in the chat.
That's absolutely fine. So thank you all for joining us, and that's it for us here today. We'll see you next month.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone.